Hey, what's going on? It's about 4:05 right now, 4:06, and it's time for a 4 p.m. rant. And this is going to be basically it's just a talk between me and whoever's listening on like what I'm actually thinking about doing with my life, or how I go about working on some of the projects I'm working on. This gives people a little bit of opportunity to kind of hear each day what is going on in my mind, and it's also a model that you can use for your own type of daily blogs. So if you're interested in learning more about using daily blogs or talking about these things with me, or discussing your own ideas, you can always hit me up in any of the messages in any of the this social platforms that this is actually in. What I want to go ahead and talk to about today was I was basically today's Martin Luther King's birthday. Yes, Martin Luther King's birthday, and we celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday by as a national holiday in the United States, which allows us to have the day off. We don't have to move our car. We don't have to actually worry about going to work. All we have to really do is you kind of like take the time to at least remember the man and how significant he was to the world. So if you're not really familiar with Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King was a civil rights leader, and he fought for the people, all people, by basically doing a lot of non-violent acts. And he basically worked with a lot of politicians and did a lot of talks with people across the world. He also met with Mahatma Gandhi in India, because he was very interested in talking to him, because his beliefs was what he used as a platform for his own things that he was doing here in America. But he was assassinated somewhere in 1963 or 65. I'm not really sure, but there was it was right after his speech in Washington D.C., where he basically "I have a dream" speech. And today is it's been, let me see, it's been more than 40 years. It's been almost 60 years. Yeah, so it's been about 60 years since he was alive. And I try to make sure that where we have gone so far with our society and what we've worked on, but we kind of have a long way else to go when it comes down to where we need to go as a people. We have to all believe that we're all one people, and we all need help, and we all need love. We all need to believe in something, and that's why it brings me back to utilizing social media. I feel that this is important. Some people may not want to go ahead and be social online because they're afraid that somebody's going to get their facial recognition, and then they're going to talk to them, and they're going to find out who they are, and they're going to mess with them. And it's just like, what is more important? I'm actually worried about not doing my part as a citizen of this world, to make sure that other people who are interested in doing things like going to school, or learning a language, or traveling, a lot of things that we don't necessarily get a chance to talk about until we get in face to face with each other. And I've noticed that as times in 2020, things have gotten so crazy, where time is very scarce when it comes down to finding things to do, because everybody's constantly like worried about themselves, or glued to their phones, or busy with their families. And being able to do this allows me to publish this on the interwebs and let people know that, hey, if you're interested in, doing things, you're not alone. I have some information. You can use it to get on your day. And with me, that's what I use to continue to get where I am today. Being able to, to be, a software engineer and be able to speak Japanese and, college graduate, being able to travel to several countries and be able to, meet so many different people. I think it all came down, there was a time, back when Dr. King was alive, that doing that was like almost suicide. So I try to make sure I keep that in my mind, during these days. I mean, some people may not really know who he is or what's going on, but he did have a relatively strong attitude, and he was a stalwart for, civil rights and freedom for all. And despite the fact that his life was on the line, people had death threats for him. He's not the only one that was out there fighting, but we have to remember that. And if we don't do that, who will? I would want to. That's all I'm going to really say about that. So yeah. So I think that's it for today. I mean, what I really want to go over, which I might be able to still talk about it, this might be a little bit long, maybe another 5 minutes or so. So I'm at 6.5 minutes so far. Is the idea of radical transparency. And radical transparency is something that was talked about in the Principles book by Ray Dalio. It's such a good book. It's not the first time I'm hearing this. Like, there's another book that I've read that have talked about how we need to work more as an organism, and how humans are algorithms. We were already getting to the idea that all of the ideas that the yogis and the Buddhist monks and the sages have been saying for centuries has been the truth this entire time. And I just want people to remember that, because it's not really about like I'm woke or anything like that. It's more like I'm just happy that you can put things together almost like an algorithm. You can put things together and be different pieces and puzzles and actually see what they were trying to say all those years. And I'm hoping that things like this can help touch other people, touch you, touch whomever, to think about what you want to do, with your life. You don't necessarily have to march or have to, go online. You just have to really, just step up, inside your own communities and amongst your own, and your expertise somehow. You need to reach out to certain people and get them to really see that it's not going to be easy, and a lot of people are going to be petrified to do anything that may put their money at risk or their kids at risk or their job at risk. But I think right now talking from the heart is something you're going to have to do, and hopefully that this information will come just in time for whomever. So other than that, I'd like to thank you for listening, and hopefully you are interested in listening to more of these type of talks. Talking about radical transparency, for instance, is actually I'm gonna finish that. So radical transparency was basically talks about how in Ray Dalio's company, the Bridgewater Associates, he used these principles where everybody had to openly express what they wanted and how they wanted things to work. And in order for them to do that, they were able to build businesses that way. That the money that they made over time was actually like a side effect to it. It wasn't their main goal. And because they didn't make that their main goal, the money just came to them. Now there are so many people who chant that all the time. But I think that he says a thing about that. It may sound like it could be a cult, but it's not. The difference between a cult and what his ideology is that a cult, everybody kind of like works inside this mindset where they don't control what they do or say, while he actually encourages people to challenge what he says and what he does over and over and over again to kind of help the collective as a whole. And that's what I really think that, you know, so like applications like Facebook and Twitter, you know, social media, you know, blogging has been trying to do for so long. And you know, if you're gonna go online and you're going to use things like that and then hide your face or what you actually want, you're just as bad as the evil that you think is there that it's not. Like a big shadow that's not, it's not there. So that's it. You know, I think it's 10 minutes 30 seconds. I'm gonna end it. I don't really want these things to be that long. I really respect your time, and I also want to respect, you know, the time that I actually put into this so I can do other things. So if you like these videos, you know, just keep watching. If you're watching in the shadows, I mean, like if you're lurking around and you're not really sure, that's fine too. But it's really important to make sure that whatever we're doing it for the greater good, because I think that we're gonna see in the next, you know, decades to come how humans actually work when we're actually put to the test to work together, you know. So, ciao.